Hello students, again welcome for our next experiment, experiment number 18, to observe and study the effect of hypnotics on mice by one method, that is the writing reflex method. By two methods we are going to see the effect of hypnotics. In this experiment we are going to see by writing reflex method with the help of MSBT CD. So let's start with our today's experiment.
Aim of this experiment is to study the effect of hypnotic sedative in mice by writing reflex method.
Objectives of this experiment are to understand the terms sedation, hypnosis, to understand writing reflex, to understand behavioral profile like awareness, mood, and motor activity.
So with the aim of this experiment, we should understand the objectives of today's experiment. The objectives of today's experiment are: first one is to understand the term sedative, hypnosis, to understand writing reflex. This is one method by which we are going to see the hypnotic effect. So this is one method, that is writing reflex. Second one is to understand the behavioral profile like awareness, mood, and the motor activity. So with this objectives, today we are going to see the effect of the hypnotics. Then what is the requirement? Here again we are using the animal mouse. So here animal is get changed. So as animal get changed, definitely physiological salt solution is also get changed. But in this experiment there is no need of any physiological salt, because we are not dissecting the animal. Only we are going to observe the it's a behavioral observation. That's why there is no need of any physiological salt solution. So the drugs which are used in this experiments are chemicals used in the experiments are phenobarbital sodium, and with a concentration of 20 milligram per kg, and which could be administered by intraperitoneal route of administration. So kindly note in your manual this name of the chemical along with its concentration. Instruments, which type of equipments or instruments are used, like a weighing balance, some syringe, needle, soft cloth, cotton, etc. First, we will see the theory behind that experiment. So let's see this.
Sleep is a state of altered consciousness or partial unconsciousness. Normal sleep consists of two components: non-rapid eye movement, that is NREM sleep, and rapid eye movement, that is REM sleep. NREM sleep consists of four stages characterized by different kinds of EEG activity. REM and NREM sleep alternate throughout the duration of sleep. Sleep deprivation impairs attention, learning, and performance. Lack of sleep is called insomnia, and hyposomnia indicates lesser sleep.
Yes. So this is one of the most important part of this topic, that is REM and NREM. So first we will see what do you mean by the sleep. Sleep is in a state of altered consciousness and partial unconsciousness stages. So in this experiment we will clearly understand what do you mean by this NREM, REM, and how is nothing but this altered stage of consciousness and unconsciousness. Usually sleep is get usually sleep is consist of two parts, that called as NREM, and second one is a REM. First we will see what do you mean by the NREM, that is called as a non-rapid eye movement. So what do you mean by this non-rapid eye movement? This non-rapid eye movement is also called as a dreamless sleep and is characterized by slow and irregular breathing and heart rate along with blood pressure. Near about 80% of sleep is NREM. Near about 80% of sleep is NREM. So this is one of the most important thing that we are going to see, that what are the different parameters that we could observe in the sleeps. So whenever the sleep consists of these parameters REM and NREM, so at that time it is necessary that we could understand what exactly happened when there is an REM sleep. What exactly happened there is a REM sleep. So with this specific few things are known, that is nothing but eye movement is not involving, eye movement is not evolving, but other parameters like dreamless sleep characterized by slow and irregular breathing, this could happen. Usually these all the things are get analyzed by some parameters like encephalography or other some instruments. Because of that we could get understood this what is all these things. Next one is an REM sleep. So with respect to REM sleep, that is nothing but what REM sleep is a portion of sleep during which the rapid eye movement occurs, and it is characterized by dream, rapid and low voltage brain waves, irregular breathing, heart rate, and involuntary muscle jerks. So this is called as an REM sleep. Now let's see with this diagram what this diagram says, how this diagram is giving information about this, that we will see. So this diagram, usually this uh, below the axis, this axis is indicating about hours in the sleep hours, that is 1 to 8 hours that we could use the sleep. And this axis indicating some stages of sleep: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. So these are the stages and these are the hours of the sleeps. When you observing this graph, you could understand one thing, that this REM and NREM are very alternate to each other. REM and NREM, they are alternate to each other. They are totally alternate to each other. So this is a main thing. So when we start sleep, when we started a sleep, at that time, this is a stage 1. After that, it is a started. So initial stage of the sleep is NREM. And after a certain period of time, then we entered into the REM. Then again NREM. Then again REM. So initial level, if you see, this duration of REM is quite large comparable to the REM. But when it is going on, in between, it is quite enlargement of the REM comparable to the initial one. So this graph is called as EEG, that is nothing but electroencephalography. And with the help of this electroencephalography, we plot this graph against the hours and some stages we have recorded here. So REM and NREM, these are the alternate throughout the duration of the sleep. This is duration of sleep of an 8 hours duration of sleep here we are reported. And here we could see that in all the stages, stage 1 to stage 4, all the stages are there with REM as well as the NREM. So with the help of these stages, we are going ahead. And this is when we start a sleep, and last one is that when we awake. When we awake. So this is a graph that gives information. So in exam, how will you elaborate this diagram? How will you explain this diagram? So what you are going to write here, this is an encephalography EEG of brain, which consists of REM and NREM. REM and NREM are alternate phases. This graph is of an 8 hours and having 4 stages. 1 to 4 stages are reported here. So this is an explanation for the 2 marks for the practical. This is a 2-mark explanation that we need to explain in an exam. This is what about the sleep, and this is about this diagram. Next one is that whenever the sleep is get deprivated, whenever the sleep is get impaired, whenever the sleep is get disturbed, due to that it produces some effects like impaired attention, some learning, performance. We could understood, or we could observe that whenever we have a less sleep or improper sleep last night, the next day morning we have totally a restless. We are unable to concentrate on any work. We are unable to perform the work properly. So this is why, because of the impairment of sleep. So for that purpose, it is a must that we should have a proper sleep. Then the next point is that
The excitability of CNS is under the influence of GABA. Benzodiazepine and barbiturates promote the binding of GABA with its receptor. Activation of the receptor modify influx of chlorine through voltage gated chloride channel. This causes hyperpolarization of the neuronal cell. The action potential is not generated and transmission of nerve impulses is inhibited. The CNS is now depressed and the subject sleeps. By activating GABA receptor, sedatives induce drowsiness without sleep, and at higher doses, it induces sleep resembling natural sleep. This is hypnosis. Sedative hypnotics may also reduce anxiety without drowsiness. Such effect is called as anxiolytic effect. Barbiturates like phenobarbital, pentobarbital, and non-barbiturates like diazepam, meprobamate are used clinically in treatment of insomnia.
This is a very beautiful information about how the sleep is induces. So this diagram gives a very beautiful explanation about the basic physiology of sleep. So how the sleep is get created. This diagram gives information about this. A sleep is nothing but a rule of the chloride channel here. When chloride ions are open, the chloride channels are open, chloride ion come inside the cell. Due to the inner entry of the chloride ions, there is a CNS depression. Why chloride channels are get open? Chloride channel is open because of the binding of the GABA. Already we have discussed this mechanism of action in our theory part. That's why I'm not going so much that much detail. So this is the mechanism of action of GABA. That is GABA is get bind with an chloride GABA chloride receptor, and due to the binding of the GABA, chloride ions are get open, and here chloride ions enter inside the cell. As there is a chloride ion enter inside the cell, there is a sleep. But what happens when the patient is in insomnia? These chloride channels are not open. Why? Because GABA is not binding. Here what happened? The drugs like diazepams, they are get bind with the chloride GABA channel receptor, and it induces the binding of the GABA to the GABA sites. And due to the binding of this GABA to the GABA site, channel is get open and chloride ions is enter inside the cell and sleep is induced. This is a beautiful explanation about the mechanism of action of all the hypnotics and sedative. Usually, this explanation gives information about this, that is the GABA and GABA channel, GABA receptor. This is a particular information that I would like to repeat here. By activating this GABA receptor, sedative induces drowsiness without sleep, and at higher doses, it induces sleep resemble to a natural sleep. That is a particularly explanation about the sedatives and the hypnosis. This is the hypnosis, means inducing a natural sleep, that is the hypnosis, and getting a drowsiness, that is nothing but the sedation. So sedative hypnotics may also reduces the anxiety without drowsiness, and such drugs are called as the anxiolytics. Such drugs are called as an anxiolytic. And barbiturates like phenobarbital, pentobarbital, nanobarbital, these are the derivatives of the barbiturates. And the non-barbiturates like diazepam, meprobamate are also used clinically for the treatment of the insomnia. Insomnia, that is a absence of sleep, that is called as an insomnia. So this is the explanation about this chloride channel, GABA chloride channel, and chloride channel open, chloride enter inside the cell and induces the sleep. Now let's see what is the next one.
To study the effect of sedative hypnotics in mice by writing reflex method, select 3 adult healthy mice of either sex weighing not less than 20 gram. Writing reflex means the ability of an animal to maintain and to regain the body balance or posture. Drop the mice individually from a predetermined height and observe the writing reflex in each of them. The mice regain their normal posture quickly, indicating presence of writing reflex. Inject 0.2 ml of phenobarbital sodium solution intraperitoneally to a mice. Observe the writing reflex at an interval of 15 minutes up to 1 hour. You can see the sedative action of phenobarbital since the writing reflex is delayed in mice after administration of drug. Later on, phenobarbital depresses central nervous system, that is, it produces hypnosis in mice, thus animal fails to elicit writing reflex. Clinically, phenobarbital-like drugs are useful to induce sedation and sleep.
So this is what the explanation about this experiment, how they have conducted the experiment. That they have selected some healthy mice, and with the help of these healthy mice, they have conducted the experiment. So first stage, they check their one by which we are conducting the experiment, that we call as the writing reflex method. So what do you mean by the writing reflex method? It's an ability of animal to maintain a posture or gain the posture or balance, maintaining a balance when we throw the animal from certain height. Then it is called as a writing reflex. Use this method for the mice. So first what we do, we we fall on this animal from certain height, and because of that it followed, but it take a posture, like this. If you see like this, we
Individually,
right, but it
from a
take his
predetermined
position on
height,
his legs. That is
and
nothing but what? It
observe
is
the
in a
writing
positive
reflex
writing reflex. It
in
has a
each of
reflex.
them.
See this. It
The
only fall
mice
on his legs.
regain
That is,
their
it's
normal
maintaining his
posture
posture.
quickly,
The next one is that
indicating presence
then
of writing reflex.
we check this writing reflex method, and then we
Inject
administer this
0.2
drug
ml of
intraperitoneally. We administer the
phenobarbital
drug,
sodium
and after the
solution
administration of this drug,
intraperitoneally to
again
a
we check
mice.
whether the writing reflex is there
Observe
or
the
not.
writing
So
reflex
initially the
at an
writing reflex
interval
is present.
of
It
15
is
minutes
available. This writing
up to
reflex is
1
available.
hour. You can
See,
see
the animal is
the
taking his
sedative
posture
action
on his
of
legs,
phenobarbital
and
since
after
the
a certain
writing
period of time,
reflex
again
is
we check this
delayed
writing
in
reflex.
mice
Again we
after
check the writing reflex.
administration of drug.
Now at the
Depresses central
this
nervous
writing reflex,
system,
he is not able to
that
take
is,
the writing reflex.
it
He is not
produces
take his
hypnosis
posture
in
on his
mice,
leg. He gets
thus
followed down. Why?
animal
Because totally
fails
loss
to
of the
elicit
control of
writing
central nervous
reflex.
system. That is, central nervous system is
Clinically,
totally here
phenobarbital-like
depressed.
drugs
And
are
that's why we can
useful
say that
to
clinically
induce
phenobarbital like
sedation
drugs can
and
be
sleep.
useful in induction of the sleep. Induction of the sleep. That is the main intention. That is the main purpose of conducting of this experiment. So this is a experiment about this hypnotics. Then let's see what is the observation table. In this observation table, what we had seen in this observation table, we could see that at initial level at 0 minute, we check the writing reflex with animal 1, animal mouse 1, mouse 2, and mouse 3. There is a present writing reflex in all animals. After 15 minutes, we had find that writing reflex is little bit decrease. Again with 30 minutes, again with animal mouse 1 it is present, with a mouse 2 it is not present, with mouse 3 it is absent, it is present. In 45 minutes there is a totally loss of writing reflex, and up 60 minutes it is again totally loss of writing reflex. That is a absence of the writing reflex. So in observation table, what we have to add? We have to add this information in observation table of this manual. So this is the M1, M2 and M3 here, as mentioned here, M1, M2 and M3. M1 is nothing but animal which is having saline. M2, that is the animal which administered a phenobarbital, and M3 which is an keeping as a control, as a standard we have kept as a control. So this is what about the, so these are the three parameters, that is M1, M2 and M3. So M1, when we administered M1, onset of action, what we had found, onset of action with M1, it is near about 30 minutes. Next, with M2, it is starting after 15 minutes. Next one, with M3, again it is 30 minutes. So this is with onset of action. Duration of action, if we see what is the duration of action, so at this point this action is started, at this point action is started, so total at this point action is started, here at this point action is started. So here this is 15 minutes action started, total we conduct the activity for the 60 minutes. So in from 60 minutes, 15 minutes are we lost, we remove the 15 minutes, so near about 45 minutes, 45 minutes the duration of action is there. So here we can write here 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, sorry, here 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Writing reflex at this moment, when the duration of action is started, at this moment writing reflex is present. Here writing reflex is absent, and again here writing reflex is present. So here we could represent this observation table. So from observation table, how we can conclude it? So therefore, from observation, it is concluded that writing reflex is saline solution, writing reflex is present. After administration of phenobarbital sodium, writing reflex is absent, and that's why we can say that phenobarbital produces CNS depressant effect. That's why we can say that phenobarbital produces CNS depressant effect. So this is what the conclusion and observation table. We have to write this observation table in this manner. M1, M2 and M3 onset of action is 30 minutes, 15 minutes and 13 minutes. Duration of action is 30 minutes. Duration of action is 45 minutes and 30 minutes. Writing reflex is present, absent and present. So this is what about the observation table and conclusion. Now let's move towards the end of this experiment is.
You have learned that sedation is followed by hypnosis. Loss of writing reflex and locomotor activity indicates sedative hypnotic action. Sedative hypnotic produce CNS depression.
This is our experiment number 18, that is to see the effect of hypnotic and sedative in mice by writing reflex method, one method by which we have going to conduct this experiment. So if you have any doubt about this experiment, let me know. And again, I repeat the things that about the explanation mechanism action of the barbiturate and benzodiazepine, I'm giving a link in the description box. So once again, you can rewatch the mechanism action of barbiturates. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.